Alright then, so let's have a look at some of the new information that was therefore released for the upcoming DLC for the Obsidian Mirror for the Aztecs. So, it was like released, not sure if it was yesterday with the patch or whatnot, but we are certainly going to be at this point having some more news. And as you can see, even pictures, what we are gonna be getting, much more importantly, you can see there's already gonna be release date, 21st April 2026. So they're just kind of pushing it into the early stages in there. So they were apparently giving themselves a bit more of a time and possibilities. If you're gonna be looking at the time frame for the expansion pass. So basically everything released early, right? You can say that the Demeter God pack, already February, Ultimate Fan pack, the Blood and Bones pack. No, well, not wanting to be talking about it, but nonetheless, seems to be not as good as was the original game, which is a shame, but supposedly there are plenty of options how to actually change it and how to adjust it, so you can probably get somewhere close to what you want to be at least getting out of it. But again, I'm not having it, so it's up to you if you're gonna be enjoying that. Also, the interesting part really is that evidently just the Obsidian Mirror is so far looking like that it's gonna be on its own to be buyable. So therefore anything like an exclusive, whatever kind of that they actually had here, exclusive to expansion pass owners for the Blood and Bones pack, everything is exclusive. Demeter is exclusive, Ultimate pack is exclusive as well. Just Obsidian Mirror is gonna be apparently buyable on its own. So that is going to be already right now listed in here. You can say an Obsidian Mirror, $16.99. You can still buy it with a discount as a pre-release. No, again, don't recommend going for some pre-orders. It's a bad anti-consumer practice, but it's your money, so do with it what you wish. Fortunately, of course, others have to be there for also living with the consequences as well because of how marketing and business works. But again, your money. But nonetheless, you can see right now the same price as the others. No, and it's a bit really interesting, just like the first part, that it's gonna be coming so soon. Not entirely certain why that's gonna be actually the thing, because you'll be thinking they might be able to spread it out over the year a bit more. Optimistic people could be saying that maybe it could be meaning that there's gonna be another DLC in the autumn, and they want to be making space for that. Or, well, maybe it could be also meaning that they want to be working on something else. Again, as I've already mentioned some time ago, like a year ago, they were hiring Unreal Engine programmers. So they're definitely working on something new. If it's gonna be, I don't know, fourth or third actual remake of Age of Empires 2, who knows, or if it's gonna be a new game. But it could be also one of the reasons as well that maybe there's gonna be some reveal over the summer of the new game or whatever. Hard to say. Or if there's gonna be some kind of further remaster, I don't know, for example, Stargate or Star Wars. Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds would be kind of fun if they actually did, but it obviously depends mostly on Disney, I'm thinking. But nonetheless, interestingly soon, and we're gonna be getting it in a month therefore, and plenty of opportunities to speculate about what that could be there for meaning. So we do have some information right now with it, actually somewhat a decent amount what it's gonna be there for, including, so, from across the ocean comes a glorious new world pantheon. Obsidian Mirror introduces the Aztecs to Age of Mythology Retold in a bold, long-requested expansion that reshapes how gods, mortals, and mythic power collide. No, of course, because Aztecs, that was like for years and years one of the most talked about civilization to add. There was, of course, the Return of the Gods, I think it is the extended edition mod. That was having also some of the tournaments on it. I think we have even streamed like a match or two here on our channel years back. And it was pretty popular and pretty well done. So you'll see how much of a kind of inspiration they have taken from that. So yes, Aztecs definitely were long-term expected. And that's also why, for example, the Japanese were a bit of a surprise. But nonetheless, built for players eager to expand their experience and explore a mythology rarely seen in RTS games. That kind of is true. It's kind of specific to Age of Empires. Kind of having also the Latino American civilizations. They really aren't entirely too common in any games. That is really true. It's a bit of a shame because they have a lot of things there. But maybe the problem is that they didn't have too much technology, right? That they weren't having metallurgy. And therefore you just kind of stuck with very limited arsenal of weapons and whatnot. But frankly, when there was, for example, something like Far Cry Primal, I don't know, maybe just kind of simply people do not want to be touching that. I don't understand why. It's not any kind of like super life religions or whatnot, the gods and whatnot that they have. Like partially yes, as far as I understand, but again, no, nonetheless. Nice representation, at least with our franchise, therefore. And this game and this expansion delivers new gods, mechanics, monsters, and an epic campaign driven by divine rivalry. Aztec mythology introduces themes explored at mythic scale in the RTS, with an emphasis on sacrifice, illusion, and the flow of life and power. That's very interesting. So therefore, sacrifice will be playing a role. So it will be something in the game. It's interesting. Confirmation, therefore. Illusion is very curious. So unfortunately, so far, illusion was introduced in Age of Mythology, but it didn't entirely work out all well. I'm thinking that what we have seen with Demeter and with the Hamadryads, how they are kind of like camouflaging themselves as the trees, is practically like a testing grounds for this, because they have been doing this for years. That they basically test something and then they introduce it in either different game or in different kind of like DLC or whatever. They have been doing that. Basically testing mechanisms before they have their kind of proper place in the limelight. So I think that might be kind of like a, I don't know, preview of the type of illusions you might be seeing. But well, you'll see. For example, the invisibility also for Shenong's farms and the god power from Xuanui. No, it's not entirely too popular, Xuanui. Even though the god power itself is fairly interesting, but simply, I guess, not entirely interesting enough to players. So we'll see what they actually bring with that. But considering that, of course, we could be probably expecting maybe some like Jaguar warriors that are gonna be hiding as animals or pretending to be, who knows, maybe something along those lines. Also maybe time to the Lycans. I wouldn't be surprised if he had also some myth unit that's gonna be like a Lycan, or a unit that's gonna be having such an ability. Right, it's gonna be pretending to be something and like an animal, and then jumping up and being like a unit. Wouldn't surprise me too much. Again, you kind of should be seeing maybe the connections as they usually are there from these devs, and the flow of life and power. Well, that can be meaning anything, unless it's gonna be specifically meaning we're gonna be having more of a kind of like a life drain and life leech abilities, but we already have plenty of them in Retold, so that's not exactly new for Retold, that is. Take command under 3 new major gods, each offering a distinct playstyle. So Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, that's of course needs to be everywhere, rose as a wise priest king, accelerating his people with the power of wind while strengthening culture and learning. Okay, so that's gonna be Freyr, right? So that's gonna be different Freyr. So it's gonna be opposite Freyr. Freyr is having longer upgrade times, but cheaper. And this is gonna be probably faster upgrade times, but more expensive. That's probably gonna be something like that. Very much feels that way. Rose as Vice Priest King, so that's gonna be, I guess, like Nephthys / Isis, kind of. But it kind of depends what they're gonna be having as the priests. Because at this point, there's gonna be already a bit of a connection to the Age of Empires 2 DLC with the Latin American civilizations they have added in. The Mapuche, Tupi, and Moisca. They are, no, of course this is Central America and that's Latin, but nonetheless it's kind of close, and it's the same as when they were working on the Chinese and they released Chinese DLC in Age of Empires 2. They simply are connecting that, the pipeline, so that of course the graphics, they don't have to be doing it twice. They're basically doing it for 2 games at once. They saving costs, making sense. So by the way, if you are gonna be interested in what they're gonna be doing as the next DLC for AOM, maybe it's gonna be good to follow up what kind of territory of the world they would be interested in for Age of Empires 2 DLC. So that might be a bit of a clue in there. But nonetheless, looks like it, we also do have with some of the civilizations there something that is called Temple Guard. So they have that, which is a strong infantry unit practically in AoE 2 in those new civilizations. So feels like it maybe there's something we could be seeing with the Aztecs as well, like a type of unit. And maybe this guy is gonna be helping with that a bit. So Tezcatlipoca is gonna be the Smoking Mirror, embraces night, chaos, and sorcery, summoning underworld minions and bending reality through illusion. Oh, that's okay. That's gonna be the guy with the invisibility and okay. It's plenty of things that we kinda already do have in the game. The Smoking Mirror. We can have fun actually if they did looking at the name, if it was like a Norman Omen and they did like a god power, that's gonna be literally... That's gonna be like literally just gonna cause in fog of war that you wouldn't be able to see through. I think it would be actually a fairly fun mechanism for a fog of war game. So maybe. Summoning underworld minions. Well, that's gonna be some probably rehash of what we already have. I wonder if it's gonna be something like Hades Shades. Some kind of mechanism upon that. And illusion, oh well, it's gonna be something with the dryads probably, and we've already mentioned some of the ideas. And this one is fun to read. So that's Huitslilo Počtl. Oh, okay. Huitslilo. No, Huitl. Okay. It's gonna be fun with these actually words and with these names. So Huitslilo Počtli. Huitslilo Počtli. Okay. So probably got it. Huitslilo Počtli is gonna be right now the name. Probably the pronunciation should be somewhat along those lines. The TZ is supposed to be practically like a S in there. The Z, the Z. CH is practically Ch, and X is supposed to be like a Sh. Basically similar to what we have in Fushi. At least as far what I have seen. I haven't had any kind of like deep look into it, but a few of the things seem to be suggesting that might be the pronunciation for the few things like these. No, and therefore, Huitzilopochtli, the god of sun and war, demands sacrifice and devotion, granting devastating power to those willing to give everything in his name. No, so some kind of Ares, no? God of sun and war, Eclipse is in the game, Sun Shield, so it's gonna be probably something different. Demands sacrifice. It's a bit interesting, the demands in here. So I guess maybe to be getting actually his god powers, you're gonna be having to do those sacrifice and devotion. It's actually interesting, it's not really mentioned with the others, but it kind of doesn't have to mean anything at all. But I wonder if maybe the sacrifice is gonna be literally tied to only one god. The others are gonna be playing normal, and you're gonna be having to sacrifice only for this dude. Huh. Maybe that's gonna be somewhat limited this way. Granting devastating power to those willing to give everything in his name. Kinda feels like it maybe, with how it's right now listed in there, that maybe the more units you lose, the more actually powerful god power you're gonna be getting or something. That maybe could be that way. I'm thinking that some people are already speculating about it on like Discord and Reddit and whatnot. Feels to me that maybe that could be some kind of idea. So expand your divine influence with 9 new minor gods. Of course, it's gonna be full new pantheon. Each bringing unique god powers, myth units, and strategic depth inspired by Aztec legend. Command deities such as Ispapalotl, the obsidian butterfly of death and magic. Call upon Tlaloc, master of rain and destruction, and unleash Xolotl, whose corrupt influence twists enemies into monstrous forms. Obsidian Mirror introduces fear and illusion gameplay, offering new ways to dominate the battlefield, lay traps, manipulate enemy behavior, harvest life force, and construct towers from fallen foes. That actually really feels like there's gonna be a life leech therefore, like a directly life leech. So far we are having mostly, if you're gonna be like losing hit points, you get some kind of bonus. Sometimes there's gonna be like Thracian horses are gonna be life leech, so I guess maybe it's gonna be a bit more of a pronounced thing. Maybe some specific units, not sure. Construct towers from What? Manipulate enemy behavior, harvest life force, and construct towers from fallen foes. Oh, this way. I was gonna thinking... okay, I was thinking you're gonna be building a tower, like legitimately the shooting tower from like the enemies. It's probably supposed to be meaning you're just gonna be building some kind of macabre monuments rather of them, maybe for the gods or whatnot, to be gaining some bonuses, possibly something like that. Yeah, probably not like wood into towers. But lay traps, no, well, that mechanism was kind of like attempted with the Hamadryads, and it seems to be a major failure so far. So probably that needs to be having a bit of a work extra on that. I guess, well, exactly as I mentioned, that's why they were testing it with the Demeter first, so they see if it's gonna be actually viable or not. Seems like it majorly not. So they're gonna be having somewhat improved upon that probably. And also tie in with Spider Lair and the problems that we currently have in the game or had in the game. So hopefully that's gonna be properly fixed. Manipulate enemy behavior is very interesting. So it seems like that maybe there are gonna be some units that are gonna be like a Chaos God power, but they're gonna be doing it on purpose, which is obviously something we already had with some Myth units before. It's not completely new. Like the Lampades are doing that, right? No, and at the heart of Aztec power lies tonally, the essence of life released in battle. Every fallen warrior will feel divine favor and empower your gods and drive your civilization forward. Even your villages can offer their life force when greater power is needed. So that's kind of like what we kind of thought that it might be. That the more units you lose, then possibly your god powers are gonna be therefore increasing in strength. Huh. Why not, I guess. Every fallen warrior will feel divine favor. No, so basically every soldier you lose, you're gonna be getting favor. Of course. And it's gonna be probably dual effect now. Both favor and also increase in the strength. I wonder if it works if you're gonna be deleting the units only. So, just kind of like imagine some fun strats. You're just gonna be building huge army in your base. Then you're gonna be deleting it, getting plenty favor for some powerful god power, and it'll be just like so weird strat. So I'm kind of hoping that's not gonna be entirely as much of a case. Hoping dearly that that's not entirely what it's going to be. Allies, and that's gonna be the tonal, you know, that's therefore, yeah, that's what it's gonna be kind of called, I guess. The all-new 12th mission campaign tells an epic story of divine conflict and survival, when the eternal rivalry between Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca destroys the utopian city of Aztlan. Okay, this one is gonna be hard for me to get properly into my brain. Huitzilopochtli seizes the moment to lead his people south in search of a new empire. Meanwhile, Tezcatlipoca escapes through his Obsidian Mirror, crossing continents to recruit legendary allies and reclaim his dominance. Gods will clash, alliances will fracture, and the fate of the Aztec people will be decided by blood, belief, and power. Obsidian Mirror is a dramatic evolution of HO Mythology Retold. Okay, dramatic Radu who actually was posting this. But for fans who have waited years to see the Aztecs rise, and for strategy players drawn to bold mythic themes and event mechanics, this expansion delivers a fierce new vision of divine warfare. How about maybe mentioning the supremely popular mod on the game that you already have, and not trying to make it as if you are the first ones with this? Yeah, I'm thinking some respect for the community and its creators would be kind of nice, but that's not entirely what these people do. So nonetheless, that's therefore how it is, all the information that we have gotten here. And of course, we also do have some new pictures. So we potentially also do have right now the overall nice picture with all the gods. Of course, Quetzalcoatl here at the back. And I think there was already somebody posting on Reddit, therefore, who the other guys should be. Therefore, this is right now the butterfly lady. Where do we have it? Can say now thank you, therefore, to AOM Joyer for the information. That's gonna be it's Papalotl. It's gonna also something that is interesting to me, the Papa in there. How it's actually similar to French papillon for butterfly. So you can say now even across continents. There is a bit of an interestingly close name in there for same things. So apparently also that's gonna be there for it. The Tezcatlipoca will be the left guy, Stepeolotl. Then we do have, of course, the God of War, Huitzilopochtli. That's gonna be there for the one to the right. Bit of a shame that I can be properly right now showcasing it here with right now the full picture, but nonetheless, and it's gonna be plenty of the minor gods in here with apparently also these are gonna be probably from the campaign. There's a lot of speculation about it because this definitely looks like an Inca dude. So it feels like there's gonna be some kind of connection. Some people already speculating that maybe there will be an Incan DLC even. Who knows? But considering they also have posted, and in the description it was said that the campaign is gonna be spanning continents, it's kinda likely that it might be only just kinda tied through campaign, but who knows? And nonetheless, if you remember for the first 3 DLCs, then they were practically just kind of making like a huge picture. This was the middle, and then we were having practically like both sides, Chinese and Japanese, from each side adding into it. So they were having like a whole picture for it. Now we having only like a limited one. So I guess maybe they just don't want to be necessarily leading people into... I'm guessing they will be having plans, but who knows if they're gonna be therefore given a go for those. It's a different thing altogether, of course. So for some of the further ones, it looks like the skeleton on the left side is gonna be Mictlantecuhtli. Coatlicue is gonna be here to the right. Then we do have the Xolotl, apparently on the right wing, and Tlaloc. I'm not any kind of expert on this. I'm just gonna be believing and trusting that this is right now correct, or if somebody's of course knowing better, then of course feel free to let me know. Potentially Huehuecoyotl here in the front. It's kind of funny to me because Huehuecoyotl is like a nickname of a tournament host in Age of Empires 2. I have streamed so many tournaments of. Yeah, it's very likely gonna be the campaign heroes in there. It's usually how it is. Even in the main one, you're gonna be having the Amun-Ra and Regin Leif and Arkantos in the middle, so that's how it's going to be. Very likely. And then the last one, Xochiquetzal. That's gonna be on the left side, or what is the other variant of it? Chalchiu. Okay, this one is also completely difficult. Chalchiuhtlicue. Chalchiuhtlicue. Somewhat. I'm not pronouncing the H in there. It's kind of like a silent one, but nonetheless, Chalchiuhtlicue. Somewhat along those lines. Tongue twisters right there. But let's try to be at least marginally precise if I'm even anywhere close to it. But that's gonna be there for it. I guess for that one major picture, you can potentially of course get that. I found it through the SteamDB. You can find all the information in here on SteamDB for the Retold. Gonna be seeing there for the better pictures in there. So if you're interested in that, or simply a SteamDB, can be putting it into right now the chat if you are gonna be interested in that. No, and let's have a look at the pictures. What are you gonna be seeing on those? Okay. Let's also open it in a new tab for some better resolution. So we're also gonna be having plenty of myth units, especially showcased in here. That is also another post. I've seen it first on Age of Empires 2 Discord. I'm not entirely certain who is the author of it, but I'm gonna be showing it in a bit, where there are most of the things named properly. So this is so far showcasing obviously just the temple, and doesn't seem to be showing anything regarding like a sacrifice. Usually the sacrifice, you would be having like an altar in front of it, and that's gonna be done on that. And you're gonna be seeing the old temples from the Aztec cities and stuff. So it looks like that it's not gonna be anything on those lines, anything gory like that. But plenty of interesting myth units. Looks like you're gonna be having some Axolotl here, or Axolotl, therefore I guess should be saying as the actual animal like that, and they seem to be having some interesting kind of glow around them. Trying to remember if some kind of other unit is having that. Probably not. I wonder if it's gonna be simply some shield. Probably. Just gonna showcase in here. Obviously going to be having some fishing boat here to the right. There are some already soldiers here all the way to the right wing, but they are kind of hard to see a bit. Maybe right now get in some kind of zoom in. So some kind of different types, it looks like. So it's gonna be some kind of big dude with whatever kind of club he's having in his hand or whatever. As I mentioned, they didn't have Mythology, so that's why they were having some obsidian clubs and whatever along those lines. So the weapon types are gonna be a bit more kind of down to earth, let's say, of what they have in. But yeah, probably some kind of different types of units in here. Thinking maybe those two are gonna be the same. Then we do have... Looks like an archer, maybe. Almost looks like that he's actually having like a bow in his hand. There's some kind of jaguar pelt on his back. Some big boy in there. And what else do we have here? Somebody big here in the middle. That almost looks like some kind of reskinned Kuafu, by the way. That legitimately looks like a Kuafu, doesn't he? I wonder if it's gonna be some just kind of like big humanoid, or if it's supposed to be, I don't know, only some kind of myth unit. Armadillo, of course, to the top is classic. That was, I think, expected by people that it's gonna be making appearance. That's gonna be, I guess, somewhat like a behemoth that we have seen in the previous match today. Double-headed snake is gonna be to the bottom. Just kinda thinking about like how that could be working. No, let's maybe not go there, and let's leave it that it is a mythical being that doesn't need to be feeding, for example. No, and well, on the left, that's gonna be some owl mythical unit. It's apparently fairly common in the mythology of the Central Americans. And then we do have some actually jaguar riders. Now, it's gonna be kind of interesting because, of course, Latin Americans do not have horses. So if you want to be having some riders in there, that's what in Age of Empires 2 was replaced by Eagle Warriors. You were simply having normal dudes, but they were simply running fast. So it looks like it maybe here we're going to be having some actual... That's a female that looks like Booba in there. That feels like female riders probably. Of some jaguars. Is it gonna be like a cavalry unit practically meant for them? I mean, like, you don't necessarily need to be having the cavalry. You can just look at spearmen, right? They are practically having almost cavalry-like speed. So you don't necessarily have to be bending it all the way. But yeah, I've already seen some people complaining about it, but on one hand, I'll be liking to see the mythology represented properly. And I was kind of hoping that maybe that's going to be a bit more realistic with right now the Forgotten Empires and how they are approaching also the Age of Empires 2 DLCs, but evidently not entirely as much. We've already seen it with Demeter a bit, with the Lycans, because that has no place in Greek mythology. They didn't have lycanthropes. They had straight people turning into actual wolves like animals, not werewolves. So they already stranded and straight from that. So evidently they're not afraid to be going into kind of like pop culture and fairy tales kind of, instead of actual mythology, which I think it is a bit of a shame. But hopefully it's not going to be too much of a problem, like offending somebody. People like to be getting offended today. But yeah, we'll see how it's going to be executed. But it looks like maybe some kind of cavalry. It might be a normal unit, not the myth one. And then in the middle, we seem to be having somewhat like it looks like a priest, but it feels like, from what I've also seen posted elsewhere, and also what I've seen on some Wikipedia, that it might be something like a pharaoh, possibly. Like a main dude, it's going to be like a leader. Like a king, practically. So either this is going to be either a priest or a king. Oh. So hard to say if it's going to... It's not glowing. It's interesting, because we have seen so far consistency that heroes were glowing, even in, for example, the DLC pictures for Demeter. So this is a bit interesting that he's not, unless there's some like bit of a glow. It's hard to see in the middle, but it seems like more of a glint of the sunlight rather than anything else. So hard to say if it's gonna be like a normal unit, but I'll be probably betting on something like a pharaoh more than anything, but who knows. And the other guys, that feels like it might be something like the Temple Guard that I was mentioning, that they have with Moisca and Mapuche in Age of Empires 2 DLC, in the latest one with Latin America. So that might be just like a special unit you're gonna be making for a temple, which could be interesting there for opening some temple strategies, forward temple, and you're gonna be able to make units from it. Practically something like a Herser almost. Again, Herser is glowing because he's a hero. These might be just normal dudes. Very curious about how they're gonna be handling the heroes for them. Let's see if maybe there's gonna be something in some further picture. No, and for second picture, what is it showing to us? Alright, so some further stuff. That's like a displacer beast. Oh wow, that's gonna be displacer beast from Dungeons and Dragons, right? That's probably where Dungeons and Dragons are getting the inspiration from in the first place. That's gonna be legitimately displacer beast. If you don't know what it is, it could have been seen in the Honor of Thieves, the movie like a few years ago. It's basically like a beast that is projecting an image of itself somewhere else to trick you. So maybe it's gonna be something like that, and it will be fitting with the illusions that are supposed to be like a part of the DLC. That you'll be practically attacking the false target, and then this is gonna be attacking you from behind, for example. That would be a very interesting mechanism, frankly. Because that would be really hard and kind of heavy on micro, And I'm all about heavy micro mechanisms in the game. Because they've already removed plenty of them in Retold, unfortunately, as opposed to the original. So question is that gonna be it? Is it some kind of like it can be just an arm here at the back. It's looking very similar to me, but it might be just some kind of arm. You know, the theory, of course, we are just, I don't know, having theories here, nothing else. So it could be just like a simple arm and grabbing somebody and throwing them. Because this placer beast is a cat. This looks more like a rat or something, right? This kind of looks more like a rat somewhat, but who knows? Just like some kind of idea. Absolutely random ones. Of course, scorpions. That seems to be kind of small. That seems to be very small for an actual myth unit, right? Myth units are usually a bit more dominant. So could it be basically some kind of variant of something like snakes? Like serpent spawns? They will be having something similar, but with these, maybe? Possibly. And on the left side, we're gonna be okay, have some cute rabbits in there. No, but they're gonna be definitely some myth units. That might be a scouting unit. That might be something like a kitsune for all the Japanese. No, that might be something like that. I can't entirely imagine a rabbit that's gonna be somewhat like, I don't know, a powerful myth unit. This feels like this might be a scouting unit. And it's interesting how they are in couples. Unless it would be herdable, like a herdable, a new one. I'm kind of doubting that. I mean, like, how can you be comparing goats to rabbits or whatnot? Seems a bit odd. But yeah, that feels like it's gonna be some scout unit, and maybe in pairs. That is very suggestive how they're always in twos, close to each other. And they have added in the recent DLC, again, they have Blackwood archers in there that spawn in doubles, in couples. So again, maybe some kind of connection. This looks like a standard village on the left side. Yeah, it's a standard will. So you're gonna be right now seeing how they look. In the middle top, we do have some kind of boy, or some kind of, no, that's gonna be a myth unit. Until it's certain what it's supposed to be. Some kind of drowner from Witcher. Almost looking that way. It's gonna be some myth unit. Impossible to say what it's going to be. So that's a birdie randomly. And it's like a random house. Oh, that's a gold next to it almost, right? It's like a gold. It's gonna be here to the right. It almost kind of feels to me this might be something like a settlement. Again, connection with the Age of Empires 2 DLC from Latin America. They have, instead of gathering points, instead of storehouses and lumber camps and whatnot, they have settlements. Which is kind of like bigger, not bigger gathering point for all the resources. So that might be something similar here. And they might be having some kind of further roles. Based on the civilization in AoE 2, they have some bonuses. They can heal, they can train units. Again, depends on the civilization what bonus they have. So wonder if there's gonna be something specific for the Aztecs as well with that. I do believe we should be looking for commonalities between the DLCs because they are evidently just kind of shaving off pipelines and just kind of sharing them and working on them in concert. So this might be some gathering building. And that's classic house, of course. That's not gonna be looking like anything else. And in the middle, that will be some classic god statue and nothing else. However, the guy in front, that's not the same as here, right? Or is it? No, that's not. That's something else. That is something else. Either from campaign, or I don't know. It's kind of like hard to say if it's even a dude, because that could be some kind of myth unit, actually. Some blue hair, unless it's gonna be some feathers. Maybe. Impossible from the back to say, I guess. Then we do have apparently Eagle Warriors. That's kind of like the classic staple from AoE 2. No, that's a classic Eagle Warrior in here. Even though, is it? Yeah, that's... Because from this point of view, it almost looks like a wolf in there. I guess it's gonna be eagle. You can say it now, it's gonna shaped up. and feathers and whatnot on the shoulders. Yeah, that's gonna be Eagle Warrior. Eagle Warrior is gonna be therefore making an appearance. In Age of Empires 2, they were having bonus against monks because they were practically a replacement of horses. So here they can be practically anything else, so really hard to predict what they're gonna be good against. So, I mean, like, they have a spear in their hand. Might just like legitimately be spearmen. They might be like spearmen from Egyptians, and they will be sharing the speed as well. Hard to say what they're going to be actually. But they are kind of a like a specific and iconic unit a bit, so maybe to be ashamed to be using them as a generalist unit, hard to say. No, and last thing, we are going to be having some throwing axemen here to the bottom, some double axes, and that is a myth unit, isn't it? Yeah, that's some kind of half animal. No, that's actually right now, that's a dude, and he's having, instead of his head, seems like to be having some wolf head maybe. It's almost like a lichen, but not fully turned. Yeah, that's looking like maybe a myth unit, but at the same time he's also having a shield, and that shield is, that's the same shield as the Eagle Warrior. Okay, so that's gonna be same tier as this. That's gonna be a probably human unit then. Okay, so scratch the idea about the myth unit. So I guess throwing axemen as for the Norse, but it will be kind of lazy. So it's gonna be more like a charger. So something like a berserker rather, or Ulfsark. But it looks like a unit actually. Otherwise, we also of course see the new terrain and fauna. We're gonna be getting the classic trees in there. So that's kind of nice. Anyway, just kind of like the biggest question are the scorpions. Because for a myth unit, it feels way too small. Like the rabbits. Feels a bit odd. Maybe it could be some kind of effect of a god power, but hard to say. Maybe they're gonna be also having something more like with the couples, that they're gonna be having small units, but you're gonna be getting two of them. Something like the double Prometheans you get from the normal one. Hard to say. No, nonetheless, that's a new picture. In and online, so we're gonna be having some apparently more human soldiers in here. There's of course gonna be a jaguar as a new animal into the game. Then armadillo here to the right, sure. Probably not gonna be meaning too much that it's gonna be under a cliff, but nonetheless the cliff looks kind of cool. This looks like a nice graphics, maybe edit into the game. Gonna be having some diversity with those as well. But yeah, this feels like it's gonna be just a showcase of what we get from the human part. Okay, so that's gonna be again the Kingos. Yeah, it really feels like it's gonna be like a pharaoh, some kind of king. But I'm just kind of curious that we don't have any heroes glow anywhere. I wonder if it's simply not added in yet, just like an early in production or something along those lines. But it's a bit odd that we don't see it anywhere. Nonetheless, villages of course are clear. Then we do have some really small dudes here. That seems like that's gonna be some myth unit probably. Yeah, there seem to be all kinds of furry. So that's gonna be something relevant, I guess. And different version, right? Yeah, this one is different than this one. Maybe some kind of update or upgrade or something. Then you can straighten out the Eagle Warriors on the left, all right. From just like a front point of view. Same as here to the right. Aha, gonna be having some further actually new wild animal. Some piglets. I wonder if they're gonna be called javelinas, as they are in AoE2. Then we do have this big dude. That's gonna be some, of course, fighter. It's not the same as the Temple Guard, isn't it, right? Yes, this one is gonna be having the Obsidian Club, the classic. This one is gonna be something else. And I guess that's gonna be pretty much it otherwise here. Probably not much else to be seen. And therefore the last one, that's gonna be showing Tenochtitlan maybe or something along those lines. So you're gonna be apparently seeing some water farms, kind of classic what they were having. I mean, like, we didn't have even any kind of rice farms for Chinese. So I'm thinking this is probably not gonna be meaning too much. It's gonna be some beautification possibly. They do have some normal docks. We have seen the boat there already before. So they will be having some naval warfare. I can see goats there. And no, you can see right now, yeah, this is the same building, right? This one. Having the granary in there, as we have seen here to the top. And the gold, yes, so they're gonna be probably having a common building for all of them. All the resources. Looking very likely, you can see it's gonna be serving for the farms here. Town center on the left side. That's gonna be the temple. This is gonna be probably the castle. Might be wonder, but I'll be guessing castle more than anything. And then, well, it's gonna be anybody's guess. Pretty much. Farming seems to be classic. It's interesting, actually, we have like the... Okay, so I guess maybe the white ones are gonna be females? I'm assuming so. Yeah, just gonna be the differentiation, I guess, between them. Plenty houses. And what is this? It's gonna be probably some kind of military building. Almost seems to be having some weapons around it, and shield rather here in the middle. But unfortunately can't be seen properly. There are towers, seems like, right? Most probably. Town center is clear. Walls apparently are gonna be also standard and classic. Nothing with the gold mines in here that would be interesting. There's a building there. That's not a temple. There's gonna be something else. But pretty much impossible to say what it's going to be specifically. Like, really, there doesn't seem to be anything all that clear. You don't have all that much of a clear view of the, kind of like the insides of the buildings, unfortunately. So we can't properly tell. We also don't have any kind of dock shown here, which is something a bit of a shame. Would be nice to see. But I guess you're gonna be getting more information as it all comes in. They're gonna be releasing the info on the minor gods maybe, and the god powers they're gonna be teasing and stuff. So kind of looking forward to what we're gonna be getting further. But yeah, there are some buildings. There's something here, there, some different structures, but really, since you don't see what is in the courtyard, then impossible to say what it's for and what it's gonna be good for. Very interesting is that we have been having the goats next to, right now, actually the storehouses, all the settlements. Wonder if it's gonna be having some connection to what we have with Demeter, again with the temples, and therefore you're gonna be, if you're gonna be having them closer to the settlement, they're gonna be, I don't know, fattening up faster, they're gonna be providing some bonus. Can be anything. Can be literally anything, but it's kinda conspicuous. Might not be necessarily only just whoever was making this adding some beautification, some life to it. Maybe even some kind of further message in there. But yeah, impossible to say. But nonetheless, that's gonna be there for the pictures that we have been given. Don't think there's anything else. And I think there was also therefore the picture where somebody was already trying to name all of the animals or the myth units or whatever else. Now I can say it now, for example, here. He's kind of thinking that it's the same guy. I don't know. Well, kind of like hard to say, because if you look at the arms and the bracelets, they are very similar. But at the same time, he doesn't seem to be having a coat here, or coat cape. But there, I didn't notice it actually on the previous picture. But actually, it seems like there is a bit of a green coat. So maybe I'm gonna be standing corrected. Actually, there seems to be maybe one right next to the arm. Huh? So maybe whoever did this, thank you very much. Whoever did this is gonna be correct, that it's gonna be still the same dude. So apparently Tlatoani might be the name here. Again, I have no idea if any of this is correct. It just, I am not any kind of expert on that. Just some kind of ideas and inspiration maybe. And if somebody is knowledgeable in Aztec mythology, then absolutely feel free to correct me. But nonetheless, that's gonna be the owl guy from the first picture. Tlacatecotl. It's gonna be kind of funny to go in and through the pronunciation in here. So what we have seen here on this picture on the left on the like hillside, I guess. Then that's the Axolotl. Yeah, that's a clear one. Makiscoatl is the snake with double heads. Tsitsimim seems to be right now this guy. Tsitsimim, what is that actually? Because it's not entirely evident what it's supposed to be. I'm kind of curious. Terrifying star demons in Aztec mythology portray as skeletal female deities associated with darkness, fertility, and the fear of cosmic destruction. They were believed to dwell in the Tamoanchan paradise and would descend to devour humanity during solar eclipses or the end of a 52-year calendar cycle. Okay. It seems like some kind of skeleton something. So could be. So apparently the rabbits. Okay. That's a long one. Censon totochtin. Censton totochtin. I think it's supposed to be like a long sound in there, if I'm not mistaken. Censon totochtin, therefore, is gonna be the rabbit. Okay. Picking up this, but seems like it's rabbit alright. Mexican mythology, Sandstone Totochtin are a group of divine rabbits who meet for frequent drunken parties. They include Tepostecatl, Texcats, wow, okay, Teshkatsonatl, yeah, Teshkatsonatl, Kolhuatznak, wow, Kolhuatzincatl, and Makuiltochtli. Their parents are Patecatl and Mayahuel, and they may be brothers of Ishtilton. Okay, that's just like way too much of the family business in here. But apparently some drunk rabbits, which explains why they are always in pairs. Because, well, apparently if people want to be drinking, it's better in a group or something. Don't have experience myself, but nonetheless, group of divine rabbits. No, and that's literally it. Okay, well, that's a great Wikipedia entrance. And entering. Okay. No, so whoever and whatever that's supposed to be, I'm really thinking that's gonna be somewhat like a scouting unit or whatnot. It'll be kind of funny if they're gonna be even drunk in the game and they're just gonna be traveling completely randomly or whatnot. And I don't know, stepping on their feet, if they can even do that somehow. But Tutel Scorpion, Malinal Xochitl, maybe. Armadillo, of course, is clear. Quinametsin. Okay, it's a bit of a question. What is actually that supposed to be? So Quinametsin, a race of giants. Okay, so it's basically giants in here. In Aztec mythology, believed to have inhabited Mesoamerica during the previous Son of Rain era. According to legend, they were massive builders. No, it's Kuafu. It's legitimately Kuafu. As he mentioned, according to legend, they were massive builders responsible for creating ancient structures like Teotihuacan and the Great Pyramid of Cholula. Legit. I guess you're gonna be having reskinned Kuafus. They were wiped out by a great flood due to the arrogance and defiance of the gods. I mean, like, of course, you're gonna be having common themes between civilizations. I mean, like, we are all only humans and we live on the same planet, so they're gonna be commonalities, but yeah, looks like that. Looks like a Kuafu right there. Ahoy Zotl. Okay, let's have a see what this guy is. Legendary creature. It is said to lure people to their deaths. The creature was taken as an emblem by the ruler of the same name. Friend of the rain gods. Okay, that's not entirely too helpful. It's supposed to be dog. Dog with a long tail. And on its end is a human hand. Looks like it maybe check Wikipedia might be having more info, but we'll see. It's most likely a water opossum, okay, which possesses dexterous hands like raccoons or monkeys, as well as a prehensile tail. The hand most likely represents this prehensile nature, okay. Waterproof marble black and grey fur, and small pointed ears. So that might be like a hybrid myth unit or something. Curious. Do we have something here in the behavior? Living in deep pools of water or caverns. Would snatch people from the water's edge so that it could feast on their eyes, nails, and teeth. That's oddly specific. Alternatively, the victim was chosen by the water gods because it possessed the wrong type of precious stones. Huh. When it hasn't caught a human for some time, it had two methods by which to draw to water. Lure people to their deaths by emitting a cry. Okay, and it could cause all of the frogs and fish in the body of water to jump to the surface, which would bring fishermen to the water's edge. Huh. Yeah, that seems like some kind of a hybrid unit that's gonna be hiding in the water. That's probably gonna be also tying to the illusion part that they have already alluded to. Curious. So basically hiding in some kind of pond and snatching, surprising. Something like the Hamadryad. The Hamadryad is hiding as a tree and snatching some... No, yeah, that's the same, right? No, the Hamadryad, but for water, probably. Tlaloc. That's kind of like the small little bears, or what is it? Okay, so helpful gods of rain connected to Tlaloc, as in the big guy. Seems to be some minor gods in the mountains, and well, yeah, just basically responsible for rains and for floods, apparently. In modern context, it actually Tlaloc is some kind of mechanism for separation of rainwater or whatnot. Okay, so that's gonna be the next one. Jago Rider, no, of course. Makuhawitl. Okay, so that's just one that I'm kind of suggesting that maybe could be some kind of temple guard or something along those lines. Formidable Mesoamerican close combat weapon. Okay, so that's basically the club. That's after what its names. Commonly used by Aztec warriors, featuring a wooden club. No, that's something that we have the Jaguar warriors in Age of Empires too. But currently here might not be entirely named that way. Who knows? So they're gonna be therefore named Tlatoani. I think that Tlatoani was therefore some kind of like a lead therefore. That's where I read it about. I was already mentioning it ago and before, sorry. Yeah, Supreme Dynastic ruler, sorry, of a Mesoamerican Altepetl city-state. Serving as a supreme military, civil, judicial, and religious leader. Oh, that makes sense. So it's gonna be practically something like a pharaoh, no? Yeah, that's gonna be simply pharaoh. We'll see what power he's going to be having. Probably not empowerment, I'll be guessing. Maybe it's gonna be something like for improving... No, whatever you task him up. No? Maybe like a different way of empowerment, I guess. Maybe this is gonna be a clue, what he's doing here. That maybe you're gonna be building monuments like these as well. Are they here on this picture? Not really. Okay, I was kind of thinking if maybe you're gonna be having something like Egyptian monument and therefore empowering it as well, but maybe that would be just like way too similar. But yeah, that's gonna be there for this big guy, fishing boat, sure. Eagle warrior, I think it's kinda clear, yeah. That's gonna be that. Topili. Yeah, that's actually the same dude. That didn't occur to me. Didn't notice that. That's the same as here to the right side. Seems to be having similar weapon and kind of similar build and bigger than the other guys here. It's from this picture, right? Yeah, here to the top. Maybe an upgraded version, therefore. Could be. Topili. Okay, it's supposed to be like a... Okay, so it's apparently just the name for the weapon again. Whoever was doing this is just gonna naming the weapons, not necessarily the soldiers in there. So, seems like a human soldier probably. Big Dudos. Tlashi Maltepodstli is gonna be right now the one with the double axis. That I'm thinking is gonna be like a human unit as well. Maltepodstli. Okay, doesn't want it to be doing it here, but whatever. Seems to be just basically also the name of the axe he's using in there. Common weapon used by civilizations from Mesoamerica, from wooden haft, and bronze head was inlaid in a hole in the haft. Is used for war as a tool. It's interesting actually that they're saying bronze. In service 900 to 1570. Oh, it's actually 900 is already interesting because they didn't entirely have too much of a metallurgy, as I mentioned. So that's why they also heavily relied upon like the obsidian and stuff. So I guess they were just having something basic. They definitely couldn't do iron because their metallurgy, as far as I remember, they had like some level, but they couldn't produce high temperatures. So therefore bronze, if I'm not mistaken, is made at fairly low ones. So probably that's what they could be managing in their ovens and whatever. Furnaces rather. Says I guess the name Počteka. Guess it's gonna be simply like a village therefore. How they are called, or oh, supposed to be like a so that's an idea. Here they're saying that they were basically like long distance travelers and merchants in the Aztec Empire. So that could be are we gonna be having practically this as a trader instead of the donkey caravans and whatnot? These are gonna be practically caravans? Maybe that's literally not a villager and a caravan. That is actually something that didn't occur to me, but could be. That is simply a caravan. Huh. Well, but you look at that. No, and of course the gods. Yeah, we have already right now seen the names: Quetzalcoatl, Tlaloc, Xolotl, Mictlantecutli, Xochiquetzal, and Coatlicue. It's Papalotl. I wonder if they're really supposed to be like a long sound. I'm thinking that they're supposed to be like the, I don't know, not the waves, but rather the lines in there. So like it's Papalotl, maybe. I'm really hoping that we're gonna be hearing the pronunciation somewhere. Probably gonna be even using Google for that because it really interests me, the pronunciations, how it's proper. I'm gonna be definitely butchering it anyway because yeah, well, it's not my language and frankly, it's quite a bit specific, but it would be nice to learn. And Tezcatlipoca is gonna be the last one. Nonetheless, I'm thinking this is gonna be probably most of the information that we have learned so far. Just you can of course find some information on Reddit as well and elsewhere. That's kind of what I was mentioning. You can see right now Jabberwock Sheno or Jabberwock Seno. I was already kind of saying that he's not entirely all that happy with kind of like the representation, that it's not historical or whatnot. I'm frankly kind of slightly maybe disappointed as well. I'll be kind of liking the mythologies to be represented properly as well because there's no need to improve it. Those things are usually so cool on their own that you don't need to be adding some kind of stupid modernisms to them. And frankly, they usually are even more interesting if you don't do that and you leave them as they were. I mean, like, sure, you could be thinking the people were thousands of years in the past, but they weren't stupid. We were still the same people. They were interested in the same and similar things. So what they considered cool is probably something that you'll be considering cool as well, in a certain way. So they had a reason why they actually made them up in the way they did. And that's why also we love this game, for example, because we love the mythology, right? So no need to be kind of polluting it, but whatever the case, that's gonna be for people who are actually familiar with that to potentially dissect and give opinion into. But hopefully the presentation is gonna be at least decent. There were obviously some problems with, for example, the Chinese. I'm not entirely certain if Japanese were having some kind of backlash regarding that. I don't remember that too much. The Chinese did have a problem, both in AOM and AOE2, when they were doing the DLCs and releasing them, but no, we'll see. So nonetheless, so we have gotten plenty of information. You can of course find the info as well on Steam and all the pictures, and well, in the next month we're gonna be getting further info as far as the god powers and details on, well, what kind of further bonuses, for example, the civilizations are going to be. Really, just the major thing so far is unclear how it's going to be with heroes, because there's nothing glowing in any of the pictures. So I wonder if they're gonna be having some different system fighting against myth units. I have no idea what it could be, frankly. Or if this is simply they just gonna didn't want to be showing it here, or they just gonna didn't because pre-finished, I don't know. But yeah, that's the major question I have. Because otherwise the information is fairly thorough. You do know how they're gonna be getting favor, or have a pretty good idea what kind of gods we have, what it's gonna be about. No, and that's what we've talked about here. So, hope you had some, maybe, interesting listen here to all this information. And frankly, I was just gonna enjoy looking at it, and at this point we just have to be wishing that it's gonna be some decent execution of it all. So far the DLCs weren't bad. I mean, like, you could be of course having complaints, and I definitely do, about some mechanisms and balance and everything. But overall, it's definitely decently done, much better than it used to be with Extended Edition and the Chinese in there. So it kind of fits into the game. Graphically, it's nice, decent overall. So, well, let's hope that it's gonna be decent and good. And that as so far, they are capable of at least fixing things based on what community is telling them to do. That maybe that's gonna be continuing if there are gonna be some major problems with releasing this as well. What I'm kind of worried about, how they are trying to lean into like the feints and illusions and chaos and whatever. That's already something we have gotten with Demeter, and it feels like a major fail, that it basically doesn't translate into a good gameplay, or gameplay that players will be wanting to engage with. So hopefully they were able to gain maybe some kind of insight from that into adjusting the Aztecs, and it's not gonna be similar, that you will be getting plenty of new mechanisms that nobody's gonna be using. It'd be kind of sad, right? But definitely we have noticed there are absolutely some commonalities. They definitely released Demeter as a testing god for the Aztecs, and we can also draw quite a lot of connections to the Age of Empires 2 DLC with the Mapuche and Muisca and Tupi, and the adjustments of the Inca that they were doing on the last DLC released a few weeks ago for AoE 2. We can definitely get some idea, because they do cross over. They work on them at the same time on purpose to be saving resources, and yeah, so if there's some ideas there that might be making it here, they probably will. Like, for example, the settlements for right now the Gathering building. So I just kind of wonder what they're gonna be having as a specialty in there. That's kind of like my idea. What they're gonna be taking from AoE 2 into that version. But yeah, would be guessing that it's gonna be called Settlement as well. Okay, so we have looked into all of this, so hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much there for watching, and I guess, well, see you with maybe some further updates that you're gonna be getting from the devs into the Obsidian Mirror DLC. And thank you to the devs for letting us know some further details, or further first details actually, some first real details, and well, information regarding the DLC too. Okay then, so I've been Blackadder at Blackadder's Place. Thank you very much for watching, and see you later. So this was the ending for the YouTube video. It's gonna be also coincidentally ending for our stream as well, as apparently I talked a long time enough. Thank you very much, Rappel, for the raid. And yes, we have just finished. We have had a match at the start, and right now we were just kind of talking about the Aztec information that was released and theories of what we could be having and receiving. So if you're interested in some also crossover information with Age of Empires 2, because I have plenty of experience with that too, then feel free to have a look at the past broadcast. I'm gonna be putting it also onto YouTube. Not sure if I'm gonna be managing today. I'm gonna be trying to, but not promising. Maybe it's gonna be tomorrow or over the weekend. But yeah, we've talked about plenty, what we have on the pictures, what we have in the information in here. Some interesting ideas, but it also looks like that we're gonna be getting plenty of already reusing of mechanisms, and maybe even kind of like ideas what we have in the game already. Sure, we already have so many things that it's hard to be thinking up something new. But yeah, that's kind of probably something that you already have to be maybe expecting. Can't be entirely making up, I don't know, 10 new civilizations with something being and everything being completely different. And also the major part is that mythologies, they might be specific, but in the end, they are very similar across the world. Again, we live on the same planet and we are the same species. So we do have the kind of, we think about things very similarly. So the mythologies do have very common parts to them as well. So inevitably, you're gonna be having repeats. So yeah, we'll see how that's gonna be handled so that it maybe doesn't feel too similar. But I guess you're gonna be learning in a month, therefore. No comes, so that's gonna be there for it for this. And well, hope you had some fun with Rappel and his games. If you were also interested, we were doing the casting of the recorded games from Sunday between Grassing Room and Recon. Some pretty nice games. That was at the start of today's session. And we are streaming Age of Mythology every Wednesday here. So for already plenty years. I mean, like when I was starting regularly, 2017 maybe. So it's gonna be coming up on 10 years, I think, in Wednesday sessions. I'll be thinking that, yeah, somewhat like that, without a break, including Christmas and whatever along those lines. So yeah, I am autistic that way. So yes, if you're interested in AOM, always gonna be having a place here. We're also doing plenty of Age of Empires too, and if there's nothing in there, then even other games like Heroes of Might and Magic, we play, I know, Diablo, Daggerfall, we streamed here, Kingdom Come Deliverance, so. But mostly it's AoE content. Age of Mythology always, and AoE too as well. But nonetheless, thank you very much therefore for the raid, Rappel. If you are still around, or if anybody's around from the raid here. But you're gonna be there for seeing who else is maybe streaming some Age of Mythology. And Bragado, thank you for the follow. Okay, let me find right now who is there still. You should be having somebody to enjoy. So for some competitive gameplay, there will be, for example, May Shadowfax GG. Ragnaroks. Well, Ragnaroks is definitely gonna be the main recommendation for you. High-level player, especially team games, probably practicing. If you haven't heard, there is going to be a clan league or clan tournament going on. I think in like last week of signups today, or this week, maybe. In like a week or two, Deities of Death are hosting somewhat like, how is it called? Like a clan league? Like Mythology clan league, I think it's gonna be called. But you can find it on Deities of Death Discord. I'm just gonna be giving this, and Deities of Death Discord, I don't know the invite, but I can give you a link to their Twitch. And you will be able to find the link there. If you want to be signing up with your clan, for example, then feel free to do so. I'm gonna be probably streaming the games from that. Not sure if necessarily live, that depends how much of a coverage there's going to be. I'm certainly gonna be wanting to do some games on our community sessions here on Wednesday. Not sure if they're gonna be filled with the games. If it's gonna be like half the team games, half it's gonna be live community games. I will see what kind of format we're gonna be doing. But, well, nonetheless, I'm gonna be trying to stream some live ones, especially if they're not gonna be covered by anybody else. So we'll see what's gonna be the activity in the community of streamers. And Andraklas and Adam Wiest, also thank you for the follows. For some further players that are having currently something to do with Age of Mythology, seems like at Okafeina, some 1700 life coach. Wasn't it maybe done by Rappel? Coincidentally, not sure. Broodcorn, that's also competitive gameplay for you to possibly enjoy. Nocturna TV, that's some campaign if I had to guess. Probably so. Maybe some quick match, not sure. Rock Inc. That's some kind of game with a friend against AI, apparently. That's not competitive. Arc Nova 225 is playing console. And I'm seeing also some kind of computers probably there. Paranormal 2004. That's also another competitive gameplay stream. That's he's having other nicknames you might have maybe known him under, Gotme or Iti. He was having different nicks before. Christopher Lars, that's also some kind of major team game with computers as well or not? Seems to be having some chat. 3v3 1200. 3v3 plus 1200. So maybe it's gonna be competitive team game. Okay, let's maybe kind of mention him there for here. Usually I like to be just recommending some competitive games because that's what we do here on our channel, commenting the games. It's making sense. So Inix Xian, oh not Xian, Xian. That's not gonna be the nasal in there because that's E at the end. It's a French stream of Retold, and that is gonna be most probably computers. Yes, it is. And Elenine Gamer, who knows? Yeah, hard to say what he's gonna be doing. So far, just gonna start in stream. Okay, so that's gonna be some competitive games here. As I'm saying, Ragnarok's 1 is gonna be probably the major recommendation. The highest level player online, and at this point, pretty good one anyway. Especially in team games, seems to be playing some 3v3. As I mentioned, probably practicing for the team tournament, as I mentioned, or clan tournament. No, and well, we're gonna be streaming tomorrow. So far, no idea. Very likely some Age of Empires 2 commentary. I'm gonna be having to find out what kind of matches are live for us to stream. Would be loving to have a team game from the World Team League, if we could. But otherwise, some recorded games are gonna be also fine, in my opinion. So that's gonna be for tomorrow. As I mentioned, Age of Mythology every Wednesday. And next Wednesday, we're gonna be there for doing some games, some match or two, we'll see, from the weekend's finals of the Pandora's Box 2. Is there some schedule already for it? Probably not entirely all that properly. Not on boys Discord. No, that's gonna be some 15 GMT therefore. The classic 15 GMT. At this point, I'm not gonna be spoiling the names. It's simply gonna be winners bracket finals of Pandora's Box 2, so top level players entertainment. Then it's gonna be losers bracket final right after. And well, on Sunday it's gonna be there for the grand final. It's gonna be of course streamed on Boyd's channel. Otherwise probably also Fork XX, I think is gonna be streaming, and Mage Givre is streaming in French. Fork XX is in Portuguese, in Brazilian. Not sure if somebody else is gonna be also wanting to stream it. And we're gonna be doing a match or two on Wednesday on our community session, some selection. So if you're gonna be interested and you're not gonna be able to manage over the weekend, then you can find it also here. You're gonna be live casting. So let's give some shout out to the hosts of Pandora's Box. So that's gonna be there for Twitch TV. I'm Boyd. Probably don't need to be mentioning that, but it's a proper thing to do. For Buksake, she is rarely streaming as well, but very rarely, and casting. And Chrono JJ, haven't actually seen him online for a long time. He was gonna mention he's gonna be having quite a busy time, and that's why also the Athenian League he's hosting has been delayed. Should have been also happening like a month or two ago. Right now it looks like it's gonna be somewhere in a few months maybe if everything goes well. So looking forward to it as well. It's a fun competition he's hosting for the non-top players. And we are usually streaming tons of games of that if you're interested in it. So that's gonna be that. And also thank you to the players we have streamed today. So that was there for Recon and Grassengroom. Should be also giving a highlight to those two guys for sure. And you should be giving them follows if you're interested in some further Age of Mythology and maybe even some other games. As for example, Recon, he used to be also and is probably still a pretty good player in Age of Empires 4 and also Age of Empires 2 when it comes down to it. He was first in Albis Onis Lobias in Age of Mythology, then he became pretty solid in Age of Empires 2, then it was Age of Empires 4, and then back into Age of Mythology. Quite a path for him. Quite a path indeed, going back to his roots. Okay, Grassing Room is straight Twitch TV Grassing Room, or am I misremembering? Yes, should be having still straight Grassing Room in there. Okay, also thank you therefore to both of our raids today. At the very start it was there for Ice Machine TV, aka Isomarto. We have also streamed him quite a few times, and also I think in the qualification for the tournament. Yeah, for sure. We did, and I think also in a match then in the main event. And then also thank you for the rappel, for the raid at the end. Sorry to disappoint that I was already in as well. I was having a look at the Aztecs information in there, but very much appreciated. And thank you, Katidenks, for the 50 months of resubbing here amongst the trio that is currently doing that. I'm thinking that you are maybe the only active. Maybe the others are have forgotten. I should be messaging them to potentially cancel it if they are not interested to send the money anymore. But very much appreciated. And thank you also Bragado, Andraklas, Adam Beast, and now also Otto Wurstkopf. Thank you very much for your follows on the channel. And also thank you Katidenks for, of course, some of the input, and much more importantly also the fun. Clip that you sent, Kusabre, Nimonom, Katidenks of course, and also Ice Machine TV and Andraklas, thank you for stopping by on the chat. And if there was somebody lurking around, also very much appreciated that you decided to spend time here. Maybe just at this point, if maybe somebody hasn't seen that clip, maybe it could be interesting for you. So, if you think that Dryads are weak, then watch and learn.
I have shifts and stats if you need.
Oh, into the army directly?
Yeah.
There you go. That's apparently how you use Dryads for some kind of actually good effect. So if I'm interested right now maybe in this clip, let me give you therefore also the link again. Thank you one more time to Katidenks for supplying that. No, and that's gonna be therefore probably it. And when I was right now having the clip here, no, well, Motaba, sometimes, if I'm not mistaken, he streams as well, but he's mostly on Deities of Death channel. Satfat, since it was his channel, should be also right now highlighted here as well. Some interest in each of Mythology channels for you to definitely visit. I mean, like Satfat, you have probably seen, he's streaming almost daily, if not daily. So that's gonna be that. So thank you very much for watching. Therefore, I've been Blackadder at Blackadder's Place. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you yet again to Taiwan AoE gamer Recon and also King Clan Grassing Room for their games that we have streamed at the start of the session. Excellent ones, and thank you very much, because without you we wouldn't be having those games. And also thank you to the hosts of Pandora's Box 2. That means therefore Boyd for Booksake and Chrono JJ, and sponsorship from World's Edge. And also thank you to Gerbot with Ready, who are taking care of the Liquipedia. And then Al, who has created the new maps and is adjusting them even on the fly during the tournament. And also thank you to Euros for the graphics for the tournament. And if there is somebody else who has helped, then also thank you, just not entirely aware of it, so sorry. But nonetheless, thanks to all of them involved, as you're having these games because of them. So again, thank you Rapple Ice Machine for the raids, Katidenks for the resub, Bragado, Andraklas, Adam Beast and Otto Wurstkopf for the follows. And Andraklas, Katidenks, Kusabre, Nimonom, Ice Machine TV, thank you for stopping by on the chat, and whoever else again was around, lurking, or watched from the past broadcast as well, as that's also something that happens here. So again, I've been Blackadder at Blackadder's Place. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching, and see you later. And if you haven't been around for the Aztec speculation, information, ideas, then I'm gonna be putting that part of the stream. It's starting at somewhere like 2:30 of, actually later, like maybe around 3 hours of the stream here, 2:50. And I'm gonna be putting it on my YouTube. You can find the link below, or it's the same link as your Twitch. So /Blackadder's Place is the same in there. Okay then, see you later, and I hope you had some fun and hope you enjoyed. Games were definitely fun. And information about Aztecs, fairly actually comprehensive, so plenty things of course to speculate upon as well. So we'll see what's gonna be true or not as we get the further information in the next month. heading up to release. See you later then.